To another episode of Decoding Attachment. Now, in the last episode, we talked a little bit about boundaries and setting boundaries, why it doesn't work at times, and what we can do so that partner will know that we're setting boundaries. And if you can recall, I mentioned that it's easier to set a boundary or to be heard when we are showing an action after. So what does that mean? It means that if I say, let's say I say to a child, I don't like it when you take the crayons and you write up on the wall because that makes me feel disrespected. I'm the one who's got to go and clean it up after, right? I am making a statement. It's a clear statement, and it should be interpreted. If this person hears me clearly, they're getting that it does not make me happy, so stop doing it. I'm not telling the person to stop doing it or asking them to stop doing it. I'm just telling them how it makes me feel. I feel disrespected when this action is done. Now, the second time, if that child goes back to the wall and writes on with the crayon, and I go up and say, hey, I spoke with you about this before. I did say that it hurts me, and you continue to do this. I wish you would stop. Right away, that child starts to suspect that I'm not serious about my boundaries. They just start to think, oh, this person's all about talk. Now, yes, we want to believe that when we're in a relationship, we're dealing with an adult. No, we're dealing with someone who has not worked through their trauma and their wounds, and they're still a child trapped in an aging body. It's not an adult. An adult is someone who takes responsibility and is emotionally mature and all of those good things. But when we are in an insecure attachment style, someone who still has an anxious attachment style, someone who's still got an avoidant attachment style, then we're not talking about an adult. We're talking about a child who's been wounded over and over and over. They're still trapped in that wound, and now they're in an aging body. They're collecting years on this earth. Right? So you're going to have the same kind of behavior. We know this. We know that an avoidant attached person, when they are feeling uncomfortable, they may shut down or storm out or throw a tantrum. That's what we suspect children will do. So why, if this person is suddenly an adult, they still do it? Because aging has nothing to do or aging and emotional maturity, they don't equal out each other, or they don't cancel out each other. It is you either emotionally mature and evolve as you accumulate numbers on this earth, or you don't. And because most of us are still struggling with that, we still have that insecure attachment. Unless we really focus on our healing, we're not going to get past it. So let's keep that in mind as we go through this podcast, because what I want to share in this podcast is a message from one of my followers, and I want to break it down to show how we might be acting in ways with an ex-partner and we're not getting the message we're hoping to get across to them. So we break up with someone. This one particularly is about breaking up with someone. And after the relationship ends, we get upset because that person is not reaching out to us. So what we do now is we send them a message telling them why it couldn't work out. And we're expecting them to respect a boundary. I know it's a little confusing. So I am going to discuss this a little bit, this message that I got from someone. I'm not going to name names. I'm just going to give you the gist of what's happened. So the person reached out and said, I'm at a point where I have given all that applies in my basket, and I don't want to prove any worth to her any further, or to her, her father, or friends, as I've been consistent. Still, I won't beg for anyone to stay. As the relationship is a two-way street, and people will make effort if they want things to work. Now, when you hear a message like this, you start to think that the person's still in the relationship. But this here is where the relationship ended already. These are two people who already broke up. And while I do understand that it takes a little while for us to move on from a relationship, it is important that we stop thinking of the relationship in present tense, or talking about it in present tense as, if this person really wants the relationship to work, they would make it work. We want to use language like, if this person wanted this relationship to work, I might have noticed some effort on their part. One is present and one is past. And when we're constantly thinking about the relationship in present tense, we're the only ones who are being held back by it. Let me just scroll and find another part of this message. Okay, another question came in. Can I block my avoidant ex? What are the possible pros and cons of doing so? The reason for considering blocking this person is because they seem to be taking me for granted, believing that I will never leave even when they choose to not respect my boundaries. Now, again, if you just got this message, you would think that these people are still together. But this relationship ended a while ago, and it ended by the person who's sending this message. So imagine I've ended a message, and now I'm asking, can I block my avoidant ex? And what are the pros and cons? Why do I care? If I have ended the relationship, why do I care about the pros and cons? Even if I'm hoping to get back with this person, later on, as I go through this chain of messaging, you'll see that it's confusing. It would be confusing for the ex because there are messages going to the ex that can give the impression that this relationship's really over. And you've already told the ex, I don't want to be with you because you don't fulfill my emotional needs and you don't respect my boundaries. So if I'm saying that to my ex, then why am I concerned about the pros and cons about blocking this person? Why do I want to block this person? If I'm still upset, that tells that I'm still in an insecure, attached space. If I'm still wondering what the pros and cons are, okay, if I block them, they're probably going to think I don't like them. They're probably going to think I don't want to talk to them. They're probably going to think I don't want them back. Then why are we thinking that way if we've already told this person we don't want to be with them? And if they don't reach out to us, we shouldn't get upset, right? Because we already ended the relationship. Why I'm pointing this out is that as an anxious attached person, we often feel, and I can recall this because I've been in that space many times before I did the work on healing my attachment style. We think that we're clear, but we're not. Unless we pull ourselves back and look at our actions and put ourselves in that person's shoes, we can't see how confusing it can be to another person. When we say, hey, I don't want this relationship anymore. I can't do it anymore. I feel like my needs are not being fulfilled. I feel like you're not respecting my boundaries, i.e. doing the things that I want so that I can be happy. And because of that, this is over. And then we send them a message 2 days after. Hi, how are you doing? I hope you're okay. Or, I wish this had worked out. Any message that you send to someone after breaking up with them that is soft, that shares that you are missing them, not that it's not expected, or that you're thinking of the relationship and moving forward in the relationship, not that it's something that you won't want to do. I'm talking about specifically sharing it with that person, can be incredibly, incredibly confusing. They may look at it and be like, what is this? This person already ended the relationship. What is this message about now? What the heck's going on? So you want to be able to put yourself in their shoe and read what you're saying and ask, does this even make sense? I've ended the relationship. This is now time for me to focus on how do I move on? So quickly, let me run through. Can I block my avoidant ex? What are the possible pros and cons of doing so? The reason for considering blocking this person is because they seem to be taking me for granted. They can't take you for granted if the relationship has ended. Believing I will never leave when they choose to not respect my boundaries. You've already left. It's not that they can't, they believe that you will never leave. You've already left. Okay, so we want to get that cleared up. And my response to this person was, I thought your relationship already ended. And they said, yes, but I had sent a message to this person some weeks back, and they chose to ignore it when they come online, meaning they're still online. That's why I'm considering blocking them, so I won't be seeing or getting distracted by those things. So, okay, I'm not sure. It seems like there is upset that the person did not respond to the message. All right, if you've broken up with someone, do not expect anything from them. Even if you've reached out to them. Is it courtesy that, we sometimes think that, oh, well, it's the kind thing to do. Maybe, but that is entirely up to them. If we've told someone we don't want them in our lives, then we're pretty much saying we're not expecting anything from you. And so we can't get upset with them. You can't tell a person, I want you out, get out of my space, get out of my home, but please bring me a present every now and again. Okay? So this is something, and why I'm sharing all of this is because I recognize in my past being in relationships, I was causing myself so much more pain than the other person was. Why? Because I wasn't respecting my boundaries. When we respect our boundaries, it means I'm telling you what makes me happy and what doesn't. And then I walk away if I can't have that thing. But I'm not going to stay and try to convince you and try to coax you and try to control you and make you do what would make me happy. Then if I'm doing that, and I did do that for a number of years in relationships, that was my ego thinking that I had the power to control another human being, to make them do what I want them to do. So let me get back to the messaging. So my response to that was, it sounds like she's taking the breakup seriously and moving on. Usually after a breakup, the person should not respond to messages, right? I believe if you're getting distracted by her post, then perhaps you were not serious about the breakup. And then I asked who ended the relationship. Now, social media has been causing so much trouble in our relationships, whether the relationship ended or it's still happening. People are upset that their partners are not posting more about them on social media. Let's get this clear. Usually when we are upset that a partner is not posting about us on social media, this has been proven. They've done some research on this. It is generally because we're not feeling secure in the relationship. They've already also done some research where people post too much of their relationship on social media. It's also linked to insecurities. And I'm not saying posting at all. I'm saying too much or wanting that so much so that if a partner doesn't post about them, they get hurt and upset. These are things, I'm not highlighting a flaw that you feel bad about this or you get upset. And even if you do feel bad about it or get upset, this is an opportunity to reflect upon ourselves and ask, why does this bother me so much? Why am I allowing something like a social media post to affect me this much? Because it really shouldn't. The other thing about social media, I know even my clients do this. They know exactly how many people their partners are following, who they've added on to, how many people were added within a week, who those people are. We should never, ever have that much time on this short space or short years that we have on this earth to have the time to go through somebody's social media followers and see exactly who are the new ones that's been added. Again, it's coming from a place of insecurity. You should know that if you're dating someone, you're the prize in this. You should know that this person would want to be with you. If you start to question it like, oh, they've added somebody else, it might be somebody that they're interested in, it means that you don't know that you are the person for them, that they would be proud to be with you. There is something that you believe that you are lacking. And can it be a relationship where you feel like you can't trust this person because they've betrayed you in the past? Of course, that can be the case as well. And again, that comes with setting your boundaries. If you've been with someone, they've betrayed you, and you've decided to give them a second chance, there is no need to be connected to that person on social media. You don't need to be knowing what's going on in their lives, because it means if you don't trust them as yet, it's time for them to rebuild that trust. It's time for them to show up for you so that you could start to trust them and allow them back into your circle. If your social media is not for business and it's where your close friends and family are, that person should not be allowed back in if they've betrayed you. They have to earn that spot again. Right? So we want to set the boundaries with ourselves and go slowly. So I asked this person, I thought you ended the relationship. And they said, I did. And I've always stated my needs. And this person refused to respect my boundaries. Now listen to that carefully. Let me repeat it. I actually did. I ended the relationship. I have always stated my needs. I've told this person what I need, and they refuse to respect my boundaries. What does that mean? That's interpreted as, I told this person what I want and they did not give it to me. It's not that I set a boundary. It's that they didn't give it to me. And they choose not to spend quality time. Okay? Now, I'm just going to paraphrase what was said after. They had broken up. They talked about this boundary thing. It was a little shaky in the relationship. They got back together. They spent some time together, but this person sensed that they were reluctant to be in the same space for a long period of time. So let's just imagine they went to dinner, and this person seemed a little uncomfortable. They got up and went to the bathroom a few times, that sort of thing. All right. If we tell someone that these are my needs and I'm not happy because you're not giving me what I want, of course, we're not saying that verbatim, but that is the message that we're giving, right? What we say matters, how we say it, and the tone we use matters so much more. Like, for example, in this podcast, my tone is very different than what I usually use in what I've usually used. Well, let me stop. Let me pause. My tone is different in this episode compared to many of my past episodes, right? The past episodes, I'm generally helping you to understand where the other person is coming from. There's a lot more empathy. There's a lot more softness, because I understand that it's very, very difficult to understand where another person's coming from, especially when their actions are causing us pain. In this case, I'm a little bit more assertive and forceful. And a reason for that is because there's a big message here. We need to take accountability. We have to take accountability for our feelings. We can't keep going up to people and say, oh, please treat me better. Please treat me better. And when they don't, we start complaining and throwing a tantrum. Oh, if you don't do this for me, then I'm going to leave you. We start threatening them. They're not going to want to be around us. Nobody does that. You don't see kids doing that on the playground. And if they do, the person who feels threatened, the person who feels like they're going to be controlled by their friends, they're going to say, no, I don't want to go with that person. They're mean. So in this case, let's say that they did go out, and after this heavy conversation, it would make sense that the avoidant attached partner doesn't feel comfortable. They may not know exactly what to say, because a lot of times we say, I am not having my needs fulfilled. Now, what the heck does that mean? It can mean so many things. If you're listening to this, you've got your own story. There are other people who will say, well, not having my needs fulfilled means I'm not getting that good morning text. They don't send a message during the day to check in to see how I'm doing. They don't ask me if I've eaten. I travel and they don't check to see if I'm okay. They don't send me random flowers. They get me my birthday gift a little late. So there are a number of reasons people would, or there are a number of things that people associate with emotional fulfillment, right? For some people, it's having deep conversations or doing things together or going out on date nights, whatever it is. We all have our thing that we believe that if we get this thing, that's when we will feel as though this person is emotionally available to us. But when we blurt out to someone, you're not fulfilling my emotional needs, especially to an avoidant attached person who grew up independent. No one was asking them for anything. No one was asking them for emotional support. And now they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And there's a human being who says, oh, I need emotional support. They don't know what to do. They have no clue what you're talking about. Does that mean words of affirmation for you? Does that mean acts of service? Does that mean gifts? What exactly does it mean? So you got to break it down. If not, you're going to say this thing to a person. They feel criticized. Now you're trying to enjoy dinner with them. And they're sitting there wondering, oh crap, what's the right thing to say? What do I do? Are they upset with the way I'm sitting? Are they upset with the way I'm chewing? What is this emotional support thing? What do I talk about? So they spend more time in their head being confused about everything, and they're uncomfortable. And of course, they don't want to sit with you. They don't, because they're not comfortable. They're feeling as though you have an expectation and they don't know what the expectation is. The other thing is, if we're going to have this conversation with someone, if we say, I feel like I'm not getting my emotional needs met in this relationship, and I feel like you're not respecting my boundary, don't expect that an hour, 2 hours, the day after, it's going to be, oh, hey, what's going on? Let's go out for a walk. Let's go have some fun. No, that person's going to be scared. That person is not going to know exactly how to show up now, because what they realize is all along when they thought everything was okay, they thought that what they were doing was more than good enough because they didn't hear a complaint before. Suddenly they get the complaints and they're now looking at, what is it I did wrong? Why is it after 3 months, after 4 months, I'm hearing about this? What specifically went wrong? How can I fix this? And that's generally the mind of an avoidant attached person, trying to figure out, how do I fix the problem? So yeah, that's I'm just trying to run through these, the chain of messages again to see if I could grab anything else that might be helpful to you. Okay. So there was back and forth, and I said, okay, the person was uncomfortable after this disagreement, and I said, perhaps this was your clue that this person couldn't give you what they want because they started to pull away, and setting a boundary with yourself is most important. The way we set the boundary is by saying to the person, okay, this relationship's not working for me. Full stop, pull back. The moment you send a message to them, it tells that person that you're not really serious, that you're not serious about this boundary that you say you want to set. All right, now the message is here, and we all do this. I've done this in the past as well. Uh-oh. I can't seem to find a message. But the message was pretty much, the message to the person was pretty much to say, oh, I wish I could get it. I'm just trying to. If I can recall, the message was pretty much, okay. All right, found it. Sorry about that. The message says, you are right. Maybe you should go as you clearly find it hard to take correction, as you find being corrected challenging. That's a criticism, right? We're pretty much saying something's broken, something's flawed. We don't need to highlight those things after a breakup, right? Clearly, a 13-year-old relationship is nothing to you. That's to provoke guilt, right? That's to say to this person that, yeah, you should feel terrible for what you did. I've told you what my needs are. You're unable to fulfill those needs. I'm just paraphrasing here. I'm not going verbatim. And so, why I'm sharing that little bit is we have to ask ourselves, why do we send a message to someone, or we try to reconnect with them after we've made a decision to end the relationship? We have to set those boundaries with ourselves. We have to first take some time. I know it's difficult to take time when you're in a relationship to try to figure out if you want to continue or not, if this relationship's working for you or not. You have to be comfortable enough, brave enough, courageous enough, fearless enough to sit with your partner and say, I need some time to do some thinking for myself. I need some alone time. And not be afraid that if you ask for that alone time, they're going to leave you. If that's the fear, then you've got a lot of work to do on yourself. That is your attachment style. That's one way of knowing that you want to work on your attachment style. So you're not afraid to ask for what you need. You're asking them for what you need. You're not afraid to ask them for what you need, but you're afraid to honor your own needs, to speak up and say, I need some time alone. And you take that time alone, look at the reality of the relationship, look at exactly what this person gives you now. Can they give you the thing that they used to give you in the past? Could they be vulnerable and, care about you like they did in the past? Yes, but that was a different time. That was a time when they didn't feel like they had demands on them. They didn't feel like they were being controlled. They didn't feel like they had expectations, like the relationship was an obligation. They felt like they were with someone who was patient and understanding. Now the dynamics shift to, you're not doing this and you're not doing that. That's not how we talk to people when we first meet them. We don't sit with someone across the dinner table and say, these are the things I expect from you. And if you don't, you'll be crossing my boundaries and I'm not sure if I could stay with you. We hardly ever do that. And those people who have tried that, they never heard from that person again. So people meet with us and they expect the relationship to be similar to the person that they're seeing in front of them and that the relationship to go that way. They expect to have mature conversations where they may be able to say, I can't give you those things. But what happens in a lot of these relationships is that the language we use, sometimes it's passive aggressive. Sometimes we're not getting our way and we may shut down. We get quiet and the person asks us what's going on and we're like, nothing. Right? That's passive aggressiveness. And they know something's up. So they start to feel tense. And it starts with those little things. It escalates into what it is now. So in order to have that kind of relationship like you had before, you've got to go back to that time. You could still state your needs when you know your boundaries. You respect your boundaries. You get to say, this does not work for me. Let's just say you're at a dinner table and, let's say you don't drink alcohol and the person knows it and you've told them that, I'm uncomfortable around people who drink. and they order a glass of wine, you can't tell them anything. That's another human being. You can't control them. But what you can do is say, I'm going to have to leave. I'm going to wish you a great night and let's catch up later. Okay, you're not upset with them. You respect their choice, but you don't have to stay in that environment. And if they're upset with it, that's their healing work to get done. Right? So we want to be careful with how we're setting boundaries. We have to first set them with ourselves. If I'm going to break up with someone, I'm going to have some time and think about it. Okay, is this a decision that I want to make? Yes, it's going to hurt if I choose to break up with them. But what does breaking up look like? It means I'm not going to reach out to this person. There's nothing to say after. If I feel like they've betrayed me, I'll journal about it. I'll talk to my friends about it. I'll get a therapist or a coach and talk to them about it. But I'm not going to reach out to them anymore because I've made a decision that the relationship is over and I no longer want to be with that person. Let me know in the comment section how this has been able to help you. Feel free to share this podcast episode with your friends. We never know who it might help. And until the next time, don't forget, we've got newsletters as well going out. So don't forget to go on the website, sign up for the newsletter. It's new. You get updates on all the episodes that we're putting out, the articles that are written, all the topics that we're discussing. You're going to be constantly updated on the progress that we make or how we serve you week by week. Until next time.